Hey, everybody, welcome back to Red Road Paranormal. I am Christina. I'm here with my co host, Rez, and we have a new friend with us today. Rez, would you like to introduce Ben?
Yeah, Mr. Ben Strongwolf Rodriguez, a Native American paranormal investigator, Ghost Contact Paranormal, and you have a show on YouTube, right? That's the Ghost Contact.
Yes, Ghost
Uh,
Contact
all
Paranormal.
right, just want to make sure I got it straight. 'Cause I know you had something else on your bio there I was reading earlier. So Ben, why don't you tell everybody about yourself a little bit and see where we go from there?
Yeah, so I started a team back in 2019 called Ghost Contact Paranormal. Prior to that, I had a background in film production. I actually was a background extra here in Michigan in several films that came to the state back in 2010.
Nice.
And
We have
so I
a
got
movie star
several.
with us, guys.
Wow, awesome.
Go ahead, Ben.
So in a couple movies. I was in Superman versus Batman, an Eminem music video, as well as a stand-in for Danny Trejo on Harold and Kumar.
Oh, nice.
Of which was a funny movie, by the way.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's kind of where I got my start in film production, and then a lot of indie films as well. People had reached out to me around that time, 2011 and 12, to do um, some background stuff, and then I got cast as in one film that I was working on as one of the lead actors, um, and I played a government scientist.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
so I was a government scientist in a movie called Dirty Bomb. So, but
Okay.
it was a very interesting movie, filmed in Grand Rapids, and that kind of opened the floodgates of just being able to learn how film production works. And then from there, actually, because I have a background in martial arts, was cast in some stunt work stuff and a couple other independent films. Um, and then I'm going to say back 2015, I kind of gave that up and I just kind of settled down. I got married, and from there, the movies left the state, and I just kind of gave up on it. At that time, I was just more focused on keeping a job and maintaining myself, you know. And I do apologize if you're hearing that. My phone's just
You're
being stuck.
fine.
I didn't hear anything.
Yep, you're good. For once,
So,
the voices are quiet in my head, so we're all right.
so
We're
I'm
just
gonna
all
say,
grateful we can't hear Rez's inner voices.
Yep.
yeah. So I'm gonna say back in about 2017 or 18, me and my wife got really heavy into watching paranormal shows on TV. Um, and I thought, what the heck, don't do you think we could do something like that? And I reached out to a few local groups that were around. I joined a couple public investigations, um, but nobody was really bringing on any new people in their current teams in the state, and there were three or four big ones at the time. And so I'm like, you know what? I'm just going, I got a background in film. I already have a couple cameras. I can get some equipment and recruit some people, and we can start our own team.
Yep.
And so that's what we did.
Cool.
Cool.
Very cool.
I feel like that's how a lot of teams start.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, and then I went on how to do editing for films on YouTube. So I learned all
Yep.
my editing skills on how-to videos on YouTube.
There's a lot of content out there for that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
You know, I've gone down that rabbit hole a few times.
Yeah. And so I downloaded a video editing software, Filmora, I think is what we use.
Hmm.
And I've been using that for a couple of years now, just editing our productions and trying to make them decent enough to where it's going to draw in people. Um, and then somehow or another, I don't know whether I accidentally did this or on purpose. Last year we ended up on Google. So if you like Google paranormal teams in Michigan,
Yep.
Ghost Contact Paranormal is one of the first ones that pop up. So
Nice.
Nicely done.
You know,
It's
yeah,
hard to get to the top of that list.
right?
yeah, yeah. So and then from there, we get calls 2, 3 times a week for people wanting us to go out and check their property. And of course, we don't ever charge anybody to do investigations.
Neither do we.
Yeah.
People always ask how much you guys charge, and like, it's something we do as a service for people. So
Hmm.
our reward is, we get to go and investigate a place. So
Okay. So now, if you get to go and investigate it, once you deem that there's someone or something there, do you have any like follow up that to help the clients? If they want them put at peace, at rest, moved on, or anything like that, or any kind of like mediums to help communicate the messages between the two, so they can live coincide together. Or
yeah, yeah. And so we after we can determine whether the activity that the homeowner is experiencing is legitimately paranormal or something that we can write off and say, hey, this is what we think it is. If it's paranormal, we will ask the homeowner what steps they want to take to mitigate what's there. We have very different options because obviously some people may be religious, some people might not want religious to deal with religious stuff and are more spiritual. And but we do have a medium on our team that can literally see spirits, communicate with spirits. How I don't know because that's not my cup of tea. I'm more of the tech guy. So,
Yeah,
but
we're both mediums.
yeah,
Yeah.
but when I'm on an investigation, I'm usually an investigator first, medium second. So I do use some of the tech.
Yeah.
My team leader is the big techie. He's all
yeah,
about
yeah,
science and tech.
Yeah. I
yeah,
have one piece of ghost hunting equipment and I don't usually use it unless I'm just goofing off. But yeah, I'm the one who just goes in and feels it out. You know.
yeah. Now I can feel like when I'm in the presence of something dark, there's like the energy shift in a room. I could
Yeah,
feel that.
Yeah.
Mm. You'd have to really be blind to the paranormal world to not feel, those sort of energies.
Right.
yeah,
Yeah, I
Um,
agree. Oh.
but I had our medium told me that I had some gifts too. I was on an investigation once where, I was coming around a corner and I started feeling like, okay, there's a presence here. And I was in a wooded area. And the wooded area has like some cliff sides. The only place in Michigan, this park, has some cliff sides. I'm coming around where the cliffs are. I'm starting to feel an energy change. Like I think I'm in the presence of a spirit here. And sure enough, I come across. I go around the corner and I see somebody had a placard up on the side of the cliff where somebody had fallen and died, and it was they were killed. And so, you know, I started having this daydream of how he died falling off, and I could visualize the person. And then I Googled the guy's name, and sure enough, the person I visualized was the person that died. And so
okay,
I don't necessarily I can't see spirits, I can't hear them. If a spirit walked right up in front of me, I probably wouldn't notice. But I can get messages from them, as weird as it sounds. So
Well, having a vision of that gentleman who passed away, though, that is actually seeing a spirit because
yeah,
not all of the spirits that we see are outside. A lot of us see them in our consciousness, in our third eye. So that is a valid way to see a spirit.
you know, yeah, and like
Um,
thoughts being projected into your head, that's a lot of times how they interact with me,
Hmm.
you know,
yeah,
stuff like that, like
Yeah.
to communicate that way.
yeah. And then he showed me how he died. I could see him because there's a cliff, and then on the other side there's the Grand River that runs through Michigan, and there's this. It's a park area, and he visually showed me he was trying to jump into the river and then second guessed himself and then fell straight down. And so, and then I found out a few days later that that's exactly what happened because his friends were there with him.
Hmm.
Uh,
And
Wow.
I think a couple of his friends were the ones trying to dare him to jump into the river.
Ooh, how
So,
would you like to have to live with that?
yeah, I don't know about that.
Yeah, I would not want to have to live with that.
yeah.
No,
Yeah.
And
definitely.
so the fact that he showed that the spirit showed me that visually, I'm like, okay, whether I'm just open or if I have gifts myself, I don't know. Something that I got to work on more, I guess.
Hey, the more you get out there, the more you work with it and try, the stronger it's going to get. It's a
Right.
muscle.
Exactly.
Hmm.
You know. So now backstage before we came on, you were telling us that you were out at Greystone Manor. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yes. So we've actually been out there twice. The first time we
Okay.
went out there, was about 2.5 years ago. Uh, I think it was the summer of 2022. Yes. And we went out there and, we would just did our regular investigation like we normally would do, set up our cameras and whatnot. And I have this binocular camera that I had recently obtained for investigating. And I set it up in the field, just facing the tree line while we were inside, because we always like to have a camera outside filming as well when
Yeah.
we're on investigation.
It's smart for
Um,
security purposes because then you know if someone's outside messing with you or goofing around, stuff like that. Also, for some chances you could possibly pick up one of the spirits from the land that are out there that don't come into the house. So that's a very smart thing to
right, right.
do.
Yeah. Well, the homeowner said that she could see spirits out there because there's like some burial. She didn't say whether they were Native American burial. She seems to think they're Native American burials out there. Um, and well, obviously the Mohawks were one tribe that did bury their loved ones in the ground. Um, and so, yeah, I could set a camera up there just to see what's out, if we were gonna get any shadow figures running through the tree lines and um I didn't get that, but what I did get kind of really shocked me, which was um, we couldn't see with this with our own eye, but there's this big beam coming down, hitting the tree lines and strobing, and it was huge. It was like half the size of a football field from one side of the tree line to the other, and it was just pulsating. And then a few minutes later, was gone, and then it would be gone for 10 minutes, and then would come back and start pulsating again.
Hmm.
And it's just like, what is this?
And you could only see it through the infrared camera?
Yes. Yep. You
Wow.
could not see anyone else. And then
That's
you
interesting.
you can also see like these like orbs that above where the tree lines were flashing started appearing and disappearing. So
Nice.
I'll definitely have to show you guys that video as well.
Yeah,
Yeah.
make sure put a link in the description here for
Mhm.
that for your channel. So I'm sure that our viewers and listeners like to come back and check that out.
Yeah, definitely.
I definitely want to check it out.
Yeah, so do I.
Yeah.
That sounds amazing. Sounds
Yeah.
amazing.
So
It's so
what?
interesting once we get out in the woods and we get outside how much there is that we either don't see, can't experience for whatever reason. Maybe too many people around. Like I live in a pretty populated area, so it's hard for me to tune into anything nature-wise here. But once I'm out in nature, in the woods, in the mountains, by water, whatever, it seems like they just kind of boom, there they are. And it's sometimes it's spirit, sometimes it's cryptid, sometimes it's ET related. It's pretty amazing when you get out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I have a cryptid story as well that I will share with you in a little bit.
Cool.
Awesome.
So, what is the paranormal activity like inside the manor? I know we're talking about the outside. What's the inside
Um,
like?
the first time we were there, the activity um inside wasn't all that much. I believe we caught a couple EVPs and that's about it.
Okay.
Um, the second time we went there, we went back there this last summer. And I set up the same equipment on the tree lines, and then unfortunately, I wasn't able to get nothing because we had a huge fog storm come rolling through. Made everything. On one note, it made everything really creepy looking because everything was covered in fog,
Yeah.
and it had the Blair Witch Project feel to it. So
Well, sometimes though, can't you see things in the fog that maybe you wouldn't see otherwise?
yeah, and that's
I
what I
do
was.
sometimes.
Yeah, and but that's what I was trying to visually, personally. Yes, you can. But your cameras, especially the infrared ones at night, the second that infrared hits that fog, it's like a blanket right in front of the camera.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you see nothing but a white screen. So
Well, that's unfortunate. That's when you
yeah,
pull out your cell phone and just take pictures.
right. Right. Well, I had a couple. I created my own version of a 360 camera that I just sat out there and let spin around. Basically, what I did was, have you ever seen like have you ever gone to like a vendor booth and somebody had this little like turntable? And they had like little
Yeah.
gems on that would spin around.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Basically, I stuck a trail camera on top of one of those, so it just sits outdoors and spins around in circles.
All right.
Okay.
Basically,
There you
like
go.
a cheap version of a 360.
Yeah.
All
Using
these things got invented somehow, right? So makes
exactly.
perfect sense to me. And I know a
Yeah,
lot of paranormal investigators who make their own equipment.
Yeah.
yeah. So that's kind of what I did. Well, I mean, I think about it. Some of the trail cameras out there have super sensitive um things, but they pick up only on movement.
Yeah.
And some spirits know how to avoid that detection. And so if I had the camera continuously slowly panning around in circles, it's going to constantly be filming
Hmm.
and may pick up on something that it would otherwise miss, and it gets a full, obviously 360 view. So, yeah, so that's kind of what I did. It's just a trail camera and a little turntable that I bought on Amazon for like 15 bucks.
So how did that work? I mean, did you pick up stuff?
Um, I did. So there's this bird feeder at the Greystone Manor, that on certain days will sit there and spin around in circles, without nobody touching it.
Hmm.
And I happened to capture that on film. That's
Okay.
also out. And that's hung on a tree right beside an area where there's some unmarked graves.
Hmm.
And so that bird feeder just sits and spins around in circles like constantly. And well, not constantly because you can go out there and it'll be holding completely still. And you can sometimes ask it to move and it'll start moving
Well, that's cool.
like on
Interesting.
request. Yeah,
Like a
other
giant
times it
pendulum.
doesn't.
Get it to work like a
Yeah,
giant pendulum, do yes and no questions with it. That'd be
yeah,
a
yeah.
cool
And it's
thing
a
to
big heavy
try.
metal one. Yep. It's a metal one, so it's a big, heavy, like really old metal bird feeder.
Okay, so it wouldn't
Okay.
just move easily with any little breeze. It would have to be pretty substantial.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Awesome.
Yeah. And so, yeah, that's a couple pieces of evidence that we caught there when we went back. Um, After a couple of our team members had bats diving at their heads, we decided to go back inside when we got more EVPs inside the house. But the activity other inside the house, other than EVPs, for us, we don't really capture much.
Okay.
Um, the K2 meters will go nuts inside the home in random times. Um, you can have a conversation using dowsing rods in there. And so I tried using dowsing rods on several occasions, and nothing ever happens. But in there, you could literally feel like something moving the dowsing rods while they're in your hand, and it's just like, whoa.
Wow,
Right.
that's awesome. I love
That
that when that
is.
happens because I've used the dowsing rods and it's pretty cool when stuff like that happens. I
Yeah,
love
yeah.
that.
And
Yeah.
and then for some reason, and it would only follow me, um, there would be like a random like sound like somebody flicking the glass or throwing a little stone at the glass on the windows in there. But
Trying to
wouldn't
get your
matter
attention.
yeah, it wouldn't matter what room I am in the house. It would sound like someone's tapping the glass with something or the windows in the house.
Hmm.
As I'm walking by it, I'm like, okay, that's weird. I keep hearing that.
That is interesting.
Something outside liked you and wanted you to come back outside and play.
I think so.
That's my first impression.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
agree. Trying to
yeah,
draw you out for some reason. Yeah. So you
yeah.
said you had a cryptid story. Let's hear that one.
Yeah.
There are a
Okay,
lot of cryptids in the Midwest, so yeah.
yeah. So there's a park that's probably 15 minutes from my house. It's called Seven Gables. A lot of people, if you're in the central part of Michigan, have heard of Seven Gables, and you can look it up, Seven Gables Road, Dansville, Michigan. One of the most haunted locations in the center part of Michigan, and there are literally teams there all the time investigating, and people go there just for the lore.
Hmm.
They said if you read the stories, they said that a witch had cursed the land um, after after like what witch hunters were trying to drive her from her property or something like that. And there's various different stories on it. Um, but somebody had built a house, I think, in the early 1900s, maybe before. I don't know. I been so long since I read the story, um, and again, these are like lore and stories. They're not documented, so. But the lore is that some guy hung his kids from the trees on the property. So,
That is
um,
gruesome. Okay. But
yeah,
there it's
yeah,
not been substantiated. There's no record of that, right?
right. There's a record of the house being there, and
Okay.
it was a house with seven gables on it. Well, and it was torn down in the 1980s. Um, I think they said how someone like vandalized it and set the house ablaze, and yeah. So, so as far as the cryptids go,
Hmm.
I went out there, um, and I was supposed to meet a couple of my team members out there to go investigate with me. Um, Now I realize this is a woods that gets pitch black in the middle of the night and um, very very eerie. But I was supposed to have a couple team members meet me out there, but they canceled as I was arriving to the location. And I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna say, forget this. Go out in the middle of the woods by myself in the middle of the night.
Because that's
I would
always a
have
great idea.
I
Right.
got no problem with that. I live in the woods, so
Yeah, but you're about the same size as an average bear, so
yep.
Yeah. And so all I have on me is this little pocket and a knife, and I have a camera in one hand and a flashlight in the other hand, and a K2 in my back pocket, and so I'm out there in the middle of the woods, and all suddenly, um, I hear what sound like a pack of wolves coming from behind me. What? And so I'm just thinking to myself, well, we don't have wolves in this part of Michigan. You have to go way north in Michigan for to run into any wolves. We have coyotes, but this did not sound like coyotes. This was way too low pitched. And then it sounded like from going from one pack of wolf to like one big wolf. And then it appeared going from behind me, let's say maybe half a mile away to being in front of me a half a mile away. And the
Hmm.
next thing I know, it sounds like it's coming from the other side, from my left side. And then a few seconds later, it sounds like it's coming. I'm like, this thing's playing tricks on my ears or something because it
It's
sounds like it's coming
circling you.
all
Cir-
around me.
you know,
wow.
And but like within the matter of a few seconds, I'm like, that's impossible because I'm not hearing any footsteps. I'm not hearing any rustling. Um, and then I see this print in the ground that's what looks like a wolf print with a dew claw, but it's the size of my hand, maybe slightly bigger. And I'm just like, okay, that's nothing we have here in this state.
At least
sounds
not in
I'm
like
that
Dog
part of the
Man to
state.
me.
Yeah. I was
like,
thinking,
could this be a dog man? Because I've heard of the stories and how they
Yep.
sound like they can project their voice from different areas. And so I'm like, well, first off, I'm still kind of on the fence about cryptids, but this is the thought that's going through my head. But you know, um, obviously, I'm open to anything the same way I was with the ghosts when I first started our teams. Like, um, I'm open to the idea, but I need that validation. However, with ghost hunting, I quickly became a believer. Uh,
Yeah,
but
all it takes is one or two experiences and eyes are wide open.
yeah, now with cryptids, even though I didn't visually get to see anything, there were some unexplained things that happened and left me pretty startled. And I don't startle very easily in an investigation.
All
Usually
right.
it takes a lot to get me, startled. Um, on ghost hunts, in particular. I
Yeah.
think there's only been one time that I'd ever backed out of an investigation before I even got there.
Okay.
And I can tell you about that story as well. A guy had called me because he had found this strange box in a house that he just moved into
Yeah.
that was covered in wax, and he decided to open it. And when he did, a whole bunch of stuff shot out at him.
Hmm.
Um,
there's a
there,
reason that somebody covers a box in wax.
yeah,
It
Right.
means
Just
don't
saying.
open this box. Just don't do it. Okay.
yeah,
Sorry. Had to get that out. Go ahead.
Just
right.
saying.
And so I think he said there was some hair and a black rock in there and a couple other like crystals. And from the moment he did that, because he was just curious, from the
I'm with
moment
Rez on this. Oh my God. Sorry,
uh,
continue, please.
yeah, from the moment he did that, he said he got punched in the stomach by something and heard a really loud scream within like moments after he opened this box, and then he ran out of his house crying and called me up. He's like, I just did this. This box has been in my house for since I've owned it. I just moved in a couple of weeks ago, and been curious how the box has just been sitting there. He didn't know what it was, and
Curiosity
I'm like,
killed the cat.
yeah, I think
Yeah.
well, I called my medium up right away. He's like, he might have just opened a Dybbuk box. And
Very
like,
well could
Not
be.
good. Not good.
not good. And so, I talked to my medium, and we were gonna plan on going out there to see what's going on because he said he went back in the house and saw a big black shadow figure in the corner, and then it pushed him down after going back in. So he's like, it won't let me back in my house. And so I'm like,
It's
okay,
not your house, buddy.
um, well, not anymore.
Well, I was thinking, why did he
So,
open it in the house? I mean, first of all, why did he open it? But second of all, why in the house?
Right.
yeah,
I would have
I
been
don't
like,
think he knew I don't think he knew what he was getting into or what it was.
I would agree.
Yeah, he was clueless.
Uh-huh. I would completely agree with that. Yep.
Yeah, and so I was like, you know what, we'll go out there the next day and see what's going on. I still had to do a couple of things around the house, and uh, the next day was a work day, but it was a half day for me, so we were going to run out there after I got out of work. Well, that night I had a weird dream where, because our medium can kind of, um, I don't know what he calls it, but he can like put a protective shield around somebody, not even being at their location.
Mm-hmm.
Some sort of,
Mhm.
Yeah.
if you're a medium, you know what he's talking about, where he can
Yep.
Right. Yep.
project a bubble or a protective barrier around somebody, um, not even being at the location.
Right.
So, anyways, what was weird in this dream is like I can visualize Garth pointing this beam at this guy's home, and I walk up to the beam and I cut it with a pair of scissors. I'm like, why the heck would I do that? And so I got to thinking and thinking maybe it's my own conscience telling me that I need to sever ties and step back from this. And so that's kind of how I took it. And so I told Garth, it's like, if you want to go to this guy's house, oh, my wife's coming home.
Mhm.
Oh, good.
Right.
Hello. I'm
Yeah.
on,
If
I'm
I
on
was to interpret
a
that,
podcast now.
mhm, if I was to interpret that dream, I'd kind of take it as like someone telling you to step back. You're not ready for this case yet, and
Yeah,
to pass it
my own
on.
conscience.
You know,
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was my own conscience telling me that.
your conscience, your spirit guides, something was
Something,
telling you.
Yeah,
someone, definitely. Yeah. I
Yeah,
agree.
'cause if you get something like that and it's that vivid, yeah, it's a warning.
yeah,
So did your
yeah.
medium friend go and do it?
I think he virtually did something to help
Okay.
him. Um, and because my medium said he battled the demon. Um, he said demon. He did say that. Um, and said he was able to get rid of it. And the guy called back and said, for what it's worth, he's been back in his home for a few days and there hasn't been anything going on. And then we haven't heard from him since. So if he was able to virtually cast a demon out of somebody's house, our medium's pretty strong. I will say that.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Mm,
But
Wow. That is crazy.
yeah.
yeah,
But he does say that it does take its toll on him though. He can only do that so many times.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. You definitely have to rest and recharge in between and cleanse and, you
you know,
know, all of that, cleanse the energy and yeah.
yep.
Yeah. I've
So
done similar things and definitely takes a lot out of you and you definitely have to make sure that all of that is cleared from you because over time if you're not sure that everything is cleared out or you miss something over time that adds up and it can make you really
Mhm.
sick if you're
Yeah,
not,
yeah.
if you're not taking care of things. So it sounds like you have a really smart medium too.
Yes. Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
His name's
Well,
Garth Dembowski. He's on our Facebook page, and
Nice.
he's the medium on the team. So yeah.
you should have him reach out to us. We'd love to have him on the show.
Yeah, I was just thinking that too. That'd be
Yeah,
Yeah,
great.
I
definitely.
can have him. Yeah,
Be
Yeah.
definitely.
awesome.
I'll have him reach out to you, and
Cool.
we'll talk about some of our stuff. And you can see our work on our YouTube channel and everything that he does.
Okay.
He
Excellent.
gets into
So,
the stuff too.
since you just messaged it again, tell everyone at home what's your YouTube channel? Where can they find you?
It is Ghost Contact Paranormal. We are on YouTube, Facebook, and I have a Twitter account under the Woodland Ghost Tracker. That is something that I am going to be starting up in 2025.
Okay. Now, what's that going to be? The
Um,
Woodland Ghost Tracker. I'm kind of
so
interested in that name.
That is a
yeah,
neat
yeah,
name. Yeah.
yeah. So early on in our paranormal investigations, I did a lot of solo investigations because I had some downtime. Um, a lot of it took place a lot of in Michigan here, a lot of the woodland locations. In particular, there's a place in uh, Lansing, it's just to the east of me, and it's there was a lady that was murdered out there back in the 80s, and I went out there with a camera one day and caught her spirit speaking to me, and that was early on in our investigation. So what I want to do, because a lot of our early investigations, if you see, um, was before I started making full production content, and they're just like the raw footage.
Okay.
Um, and so I'm going to take all that footage and try to make a nice production out of it, some of our early stuff, and then also add a few extra things in there as well that I might do in 2025. Maybe travel a little farther away. Um,
Mhm.
and most of them may be during the day, unless I have somebody go out there with me. But as you guys know, activity can be just as active during the day as it can at night.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah.
Come to Wisconsin. Come hit us up. We'll go hit some haunted locations and play in the woods.
Or, just go straight north up into the UP because there's a whole lot going on up there.
I'll meet you up there.
There you go. Yep. Um, I think, oh gosh, the UP area, well, the west side of the UP probably be like 8, 10 hour trip for us. Maybe not quite
Okay.
that much.
Yeah, I
Maybe
think
probably about
like
8.
Musing, I think is like 6, 5 or 6 for me,
Okay.
something like that.
Yeah. Add an hour and a
So
half for me. I'm a little south of Res.
Yeah.
yeah,
But I go up there a lot. I mean, I have friends up there and I do events up there and stuff. So,
Yeah. Now I can get to Wisconsin down through Ohio, probably 3, 4 hours
yeah,
from where
go
I'm at.
going up through
up through
Chicago, yeah.
Chicago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I'm originally from, down there, and there's a lot of good places down there to check out. Also,
Yeah, we're actually, oh gosh, we got a place in Illinois, but it's closer, I think, to the Iowa border, or is it Iowa I'm thinking of? Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
Um, what's that place called? We're going to this summer. It's
Rock
like
Island YMCA.
Rock Island something, yeah.
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 Yeah,
Is it the
they've had
Roadhouse or
Paracons
something?
there. I've yet to go down there. I actually didn't go down for the Paracon when they did host it there, but I heard it's kind of interesting. Just be
Yeah, yeah,
careful.
Yeah.
definitely. Is it a pretty active place?
From what I
Mm,
heard.
okay, very cool. I like
Yeah.
those. So, some of the other
Yeah.
places we've investigated, we've done the Randolph County Asylum. Um, good places here in Michigan we've investigated.
Eloise is on my bucket list. Just
I
saying.
yeah, I don't know if even though it's only an hour from me, I don't know if I'm gonna investigate that place. Just because, well, at least not a private ghost hunt because they charge an arm and a leg. And
Yeah,
I
but
would pay it if I had
Yeah.
it, but I just don't have
yeah,
it.
your
Yeah.
bigger places are like that. It's crazy what it's gotten, you know. But if you
Hmm.
get a set rate and split it with a handful of people, it makes it a little bit easier. But you
Right,
know,
right.
Yeah.
Well, it's kind of like, but like the Collingwood Art Center, you can book a private investigation there. It's not a full overnight, but you can book a private investigation there, and it's a decent sized building, and you can get it for 600 for the night.
okay,
You know,
Hmm.
Randolph County Asylum, that's a decent sized building, and you can get that for 400 or 500 a night now. So, I mean,
okay,
and you can
You
spend
know,
the whole night.
I don't know that the size of the building has a whole lot to do with anything. I know I've been in some pretty small
Right.
buildings that were very haunted,
yep,
Yeah,
you know.
yeah.
So I'm not sure that the bigger buildings are more haunted than the smaller buildings, but when you have a
it's
No,
group of
nice.
people, you want to be able to spread out. So,
Yep,
yeah, I get
that's what
that.
makes it nice.
Yeah.
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 More ground to cover, more
Yeah.
more room to, like you said, spread out.
Hmm.
Right. And well, I guess for us, just production value.
Hmm.
It's the bigger buildings are cool but they're not. They're as long as we can get into a nice haunted location. We did the historic Howell Theater here in Michigan. That was a smaller building, but the activity there was pretty intense, actually. We had one of our duffel bags get forcibly pushed over there, and I caught that on film.
Cool.
So it's always good when you can actually capture something moving. I
Yeah.
know the biggest thing that people want to get is that full body apparition, which we caught a pretty good amount of at Randolph County Asylum.
Hmm.
Okay,
Wow.
And I could show you
very
a picture
cool.
of that. No, that literally an apparition that appears in the window. Um, I have a short film of it because um, the camera moves really fast, so I kind of had to slow it down.
Hmm.
Because the person that was operating the camera didn't see it with their own eye, but I just
Yep.
had him pan across the building like this, and you can see a shadow figure, or not a shadow figure, an actual apparition in the window. And as the camera's panning, it turns around and looks at you, which is
Hmm.
creepy.
Very
But I'll
Creepy,
cool.
show you
but
that.
cool.
Yeah,
Yes, definitely cool.
Creepy but cool. I mean, there's that factor there too. It's sometimes the creepier the better. And I want to ask you a question because Rez usually asks, like, have you had an oh crap moment? The question I ask is, have you ever had anything funny in an interaction with spirit on an investigation?
well, yeah. I mean, with our team, um, we were we were kind of discussing what we wanted to have for our dinner because usually when we go on investigation, we'll like order food for the team, whether it be a pizza or whatever.
Hmm.
Um, and we'll go. Usually, a lot of places they'll have you show up around 6 o'clock, and then they'll give you the whole night. And so we'll go there, get our tour set up, and then after we set everything up, we'll take what we call a dinner break before the actual investigation.
Hmm.
Um, during this, oh gosh, I think it's Randolph County Asylum, and no, this is Greystone Manor, where we were just, what I was just talking to you about to begin with, and we were
Hmm.
asking. what should we get on our pizza? And the spirit started making our K2 go nuts when we were asking that. So we were asking the spirit on film, okay, do you want pineapple on your pizza? And yes for this one or no for that one. And so
That's
I'm like,
cool. That's
the
cool.
Pizza
spirit
loving
wanted,
spirit. All right.
yes.
That's awesome. Okay, Rez, go ahead. Ask your question.
I don't know. I got sidetracked with the pizza loving spirit, man. It's my kind of ghost.
I know, right? I felt like
Yeah.
Scooby Doo just right then, just like,
Right.
right, Jeff?
Roll
All
that
right.
sucker up and let's go.
Yeah, there you go. Well, you always ask about the oh crap moment, so
Yeah.
yeah,
He's kind of seemed like he's had a couple of them.
yeah.
You know, you ever
Yeah.
have you had an oh crap moment where you had to really sit and think about what you're doing and why you do it?
Well, when I'm on an investigation, I am generally so focused on getting things set up and I'm running around like a chicken with my head cut off a lot of the times that I don't have a time, I have a short amount of time for actual investigating. Usually by the time I actually start my investigation, I have to hold my calming stone or my I have a stone to kind of calm me and get me basically s-
S
set
Centered,
in my head,
balanced. Yeah,
Yep.
centered,
Yep.
yeah.
and because I'm running around like a crazy person, and so I'm holding my stone for 15 minutes or so just to calm myself down or start my investigation. And um, not often from that point have I been startled. It's usually after the fact when going through the footage that I'm
Oh,
like,
cutting in and
oh
out on
wow,
us.
Yeah.
what's that?
You're cutting in and out on us.
Let me move back over here. Okay.
All right.
Am I better?
Yep.
Yep.
Oh,
All
that's
right.
weird.
So you're holding your stone, trying
Yeah,
to
just
get
hold it.
centered before it.
Yeah, because after setting up all the equipment, my mind's going crazy and whatever. And so by that time, I may have an hour to investigate, a couple hours at the most. It doesn't really give me a chance to to get scared or anything because I'm just more focused on, okay, does this camera need to be reset? Does that camera have? We have 15 cameras, so I'll set up a camera in a room and then go on to the next one. And by the time I get everything set up, then I want to go back to the first camera, make sure it's still charging.
Yeah. Yeah. I know it goes. We
Yeah.
have several totes of equipment that we haul in for for everything we do, and it's you get them stackable toolboxes that with the rollers. We
Hmm.
got four of them that are stacked to the max, and $20,000 worth of equipment and cameras. So I
Wow.
get it. You have to run around and check everything. You know, not only does our team lead set up what he wants, but then we get to
Mhm.
do any experiments that we want to, or while we're
Yeah.
actually investigating, we got to watch everyone's cameras and make sure they're still recording. And so,
Yeah.
yeah, it gets kind of hectic when you got to run tech and watch that stuff. So
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah. So some of our smaller investigations are nice because you don't have as much to set up and you can spend more time doing the actual investigation. And
Hmm.
we're actually transitioning the last year and a half to using police cameras. So you just mount them to your body and do everything you need to do while you're filming.
Yep,
Well,
that's
that
why
would
we
be
use
convenient.
GoPros.
Yeah, that would be convenient. But
You know,
Yeah.
yeah, not in my
Um,
budget at the moment, but that would be convenient.
right?
yeah. Police cameras they run around 90 to $95
Okay.
on Amazon, and then you can get the little magnet that attaches for like an additional 20. And
Okay.
sometimes I'll mount a police camera to the back of my hat while I'm wearing it. So I'm always filming behind me because
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh, sometimes the spirits like to get tricky and do stuff behind you. So if I'm always filming behind me, then I'm good.
There you
Yeah.
go.
So how's the audio and video quality on them police cameras?
Really good. And they get great IR and they're pretty durable. We've dropped a few of them and you can just put them right back on and they're good to go.
Hmm.
You
Awesome.
know, early on when we started our team, we had those heavy, cameras that we were walking around with for hours. And next thing
Yeah.
you know, they're instead of filming in front of them, they're filming their feet. So
Right.
all you get is your feet.
Yeah.
So I do something different here.
There you go.
So
Yep. I like running
Awesome.
with a head
yeah,
mount. So with having that head mount, wherever I look, the camera's looking. Chest mount, I always
right,
got to remember to twist my whole body to if I go to look at something. Otherwise, because if you don't,
right,
then you
right,
miss it.
Hmm.
right. Yeah.
Wow.
So,
And
but
thank you.
the
Thank
head
you.
mount.
Yeah. The head mount. So what kind do you use for a head mount? Like what kind of
Me,
camera? Yeah,
Who?
either one of you.
we use GoPros.
Okay.
You get a little
I don't have a phone.
headband piece. And
Huh.
then with the police cameras, like he's talking, I'm thinking them they got magnetic backs you can put on them, right? So you can just attach it
Yeah.
to a hat or something.
Well, the one I put on my hat has because they also have clips. I
Okay.
just used a clip and I hook it on the back of my hat. And then the magnet thing kind of basically it comes in two, and then it's got like an under part that goes under your shirt, and then there's a magnet that goes over top of that
Right.
holds it, and then the clip just slides in there.
Okay.
So about $100 purchase, and they're really dependable, and they're small. That's one thing I like. And the other thing I like is they got internal batteries that can last, I think, 6 to 8 hours. We've gone at least 6 hours with them, filming continuously. And the thing I like about them is they'll record in 10-minute intervals. So they'll record one file for 10 minutes and then it'll automatically start the next file.
Well, that's
Okay.
So
convenient. I mean,
yeah,
for going back and doing all of the after part with what is
You
the word
know,
I'm looking
well,
for?
analysis.
editing, all the
Yeah,
editing.
All the editing. Well, it's not just editing either. It's going through and looking at all of the
The
evidence.
evidence review.
The
Yeah.
evidence review. That's what I was trying to think of because a lot of people most people, I think, get their paranormal information from shows, whether it's YouTube or Amazon or whatever, that's where Travel Channel doesn't matter. But that's where most people get their information. So they're seeing, maybe a 20 to 40-minute clip of an investigation that takes hours without
Yeah.
many, many more hours of evidence review,
Hmm.
and
yeah,
that's the part
yeah,
that people don't see. So the
Yeah.
more
yeah.
So
cameras
it's
you
like,
have, the more review you have.
Yeah.
yeah, if you
So if you
investigate
have,
for 6 hours and you got four cameras, that's 24 hours of viewing time you got to watch.
Yep, exactly.
yeah, and you can't just skim through it because that's when you start missing stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you guys, but if I'm sitting there and I'm watching video, particularly if there's no sound to it, I'm nodding off and missing stuff. After about an hour or so, I'm just like,
Yeah.
you know,
Christina,
So
I have a whole night from Broadhead Manor with no sound
oh
at
my
all.
God.
So I popped it on, seen there's no sound, unplugged it, put it on the shelf, said I'll get to it later.
Never got to it, did you?
Not yet, because I know what's going to happen. So I'm going to put it in, I'm going to doze right out.
Yep, exactly. You know what it's like, and I try to stay awake. It's almost like holding your eyes open so you don't miss anything.
Right.
But yeah, it's a lot. I mean, it's the investigation is the fun part. Even the editing can be the fun part. But you got a whole lot of material to go through before you even get to the point where you're editing, you know?
Yeah.
Well,
It's a
yeah, I like the going through the part where you can sit and watch stuff
yeah.
because when you can actually find something that you
Then
can
it's
say, "Oh
exciting.
wow, that's," then it's like, "Oh my God, I can't believe we actually got that," you know.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
So it's like,
It's that
yeah,
serotonin hit we're looking for, right?
Yeah.
When we see that we
yeah.
actually got something. Yeah.
And
Fun
then
stuff.
what I actually do is I'll actually keep that SD card and I'll seal it in a bag for proof. So if anybody
Yeah.
tries to say, "Oh, you doctored that footage," I was like, "I got the raw material right here."
Right here. Yep.
Yeah.
So I have a box full of SD cards with our evidence on it.
And I assume
Yeah.
tags with locations and dates and all that because,
Yeah.
I could show you, I have a glass jar of SD cards and I have no idea what's on any of them because I didn't bother to do that.
Yeah. Yep. I Ziploc bags and with little timestamp and everything right on the Ziploc baggie.
Yep. Exactly. Exactly. Ben, it has been so much fun having you on the show. And I want to remind people that you can go to Ben's YouTube channel. As I'm sitting here going, Ghost Contact Paranormal. I can read it right off the screen on YouTube. And you're also on Facebook and anywhere else anybody can look you up.
Those are the two primary ones, is our
Okay.
YouTube and our Facebook. That's where most people reach out to us to see what we are planning next and things like that.
Okay.
Um,
Awesome.
and
Awesome.
so yeah,
Okay.
and
Cool.
if you guys ever get the chance, I'm also a traditional dancer. I go to the powwows here in Michigan all the time.
Nice.
Probably,
I actually have been
probably,
wanting to hit the powwow trail.
yeah, it's a
Mm.
really fun thing to do. Something that my mom got started with me when I was really young, and when she passed in 2016, I just decided, I gotta continue that tradition. So,
Well, if you
Excellent.
make it down, make it this way. It's always the second weekend of August. We have our veterans powwow. It's less than a quarter mile down the road at the park that we have right here on the reservation. So if you
oh,
want to
nice.
come, hang out, camp out, go chill at the powwow, you got an open invitation, my friend. And it's always the
Okay,
second
good.
weekend of August.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, you'll have to send me an invite or
Yeah.
something where I can look
A
that up.
reminder. Yeah.
Yep,
Yep. Because
Yeah,
August is kind of a
by
ways
August,
away.
yep,
yeah, and it's
Yep.
hard to know what people are going to try to book us on.
Hmm.
Um,
oh yeah,
yeah, we got that investigate the river. What we say? The Roadhouse investigation.
yep.
Rock Island. That's what it is.
Rock
Sorry.
Rock
Island.
Island,
Yeah.
yep,
Rock Island. Yeah.
Yep.
Roadhouse, totally different than a YMCA. I'm just saying. Yeah.
yep.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, on Facebook that I messaged them. I think they said it was Rock Island Roadhouse, but I
Mm.
may be mistaken.
There
It,
might be
it
two on
looked,
locations down
It
there.
might be 200 locations. Yeah.
Yeah,
Because Rock Island is a town, right?
yep.
Yeah. That's
Right
what I
on
thought.
the
yeah,
right on the border there.
Okay.
looked like it was right on a river
Right.
last week.
Yep.
And then we're also doing the Rhodes Hotel in Atlanta, Indiana. So
Okay.
that'll be that's in I think May. So, but those are the two big ones we got this year. We try to do at least two out of state investigations a year.
Cool.
Nice.
So yeah.
Very nice. Very nice. I want to remind everybody subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and then go to Ghost Contact Paranormal. on YouTube and do the same thing. Subscribe, ring the bell. Let's get some.
Yeah.
It's like we do these interviews and we do them with a lot of different people who do different things, mostly within paranormal, cryptid, UFO arena. But we want to support everybody and we want to make sure that we're holding up the entire all of us, not just
Yep.
not just Rez and me, but we're here to help everybody. So I definitely want to make sure that people are going to your YouTube channel and your Facebook page and following you. So
Yeah, and I'll do the same with you.
Definitely.
It's Perry, you and me. We
Yep.
gotta
para-unity.
treat each other like family.
Yep.
Exactly. And us
I think
natives,
that
man, we gotta stick together too. That's
I think
another
that
reason.
might be
Right.
part of the problem in the paranormal community. They're treating each other like family. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of fighting going on.
We're just one big dysfunctional family.
We're
That's
just one
all, you
big
know.
dysfunctional family. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in, and welcome back. Or come back next time, and we will have a brand new guest for you. And
Yeah.
it's so funny because this is like the third time in a row, like I've gone to sign off of a podcast, and I get a pop
Eh,
up that blocks the button that makes me stop recording.
Oh
Hey
no.
guys, just remember if you want to be on the show and all this dysfunction that we have going on, hit us up, Red Road Paranormal at gmail.com or Bobby Rezak Calkins right on Facebook. I'll get you
Yep.
on the show with us.
Yeah, Bobby's our booking agent, so head on over to his page or whatever. But thank you, everyone, and have a great week.
No.